Hello guys, today we're going to be playing Boots that they don't want you to know have secretly changed. Remember to subscribe to be amazed the creator of this video, and remember to like and subscribe to me because I told you so. Okay, let's begin.
Down at a candy bar you're eating and asked, didn't these used to be bigger? Or peered at the store shelves and thought, I'm sure it wasn't that expensive last year. Well, good news. You're not going crazy. Food
Okay.
companies are constantly changing their products, often in the smallest ways, hoping their consumers, that you, won't notice. Luckily, I'm here, and I hate change. So let's take a look at the products they don't want you to know have secretly changed.
Okay.
Tampering with Toblerone.
Mhm.
Now I
Okay.
swear, Toblerone bars used to be the size of my arm. Have I grown or have Toblerone bars shrunk? Well, disappointingly, it's both. Back in 2016, as you can see here, the company secretly changed the formation of the bars so that there was less chocolate in each one. They did this by removing two of the peaks as well as widening the gaps between them. This reduced the cost of production by approximately
Okay.
10%. Well, it's reduced the cost
Never
of
had
my
one of them.
happiness even more. Of course, Toblerone maintained the same sized packaging and price, so customers only discovered the lack of chocolate when they unwrapped the bar. As illegal as this sounds, there's actually a name for this modern phenomenon. It's called shrinkflation. This is when companies reduce the amount of product without anyone noticing, often leaving the prices the same or even higher than before. This is usually to either stealthily boost profit margins or maintain them in the face of rising costs. Because of shrinkflation, the two original glorious Toblerone sizes used to weigh in at 14 ounces and 6 ounces respectively, but the 2016 change meant these two bars shrunk down to 12 ounces and 5 ounces.
Okay.
Thankfully, the outcry was so enormous that in 2018, the original sizes were restored, and the 6-ounce bar was swapped for a 7-ounce one. But perhaps an even worse downgrade has been the quality. Legally, they can't claim their chocolate is purely Swiss-made anymore due to some of its production moving to Slovakia. Because of this, they've had to change their logo in line with Switzerland's marketing restrictions, so the famous Swiss iconography of the Matterhorn is no longer on their packaging, replaced instead with a generic mountaintop. Man, it may be chocolate, but those changes have left me with a bitter taste in my mouth. Powering down.
Okay.
If I need an energy boost, then you'll see me buying a Gatorade sugary hydrating goodness. Unfortunately, it looks like the company has been powering down by giving us less fluid for the same price. Gatorade have secretly disguised this 14% decrease through their bottle designs. Although they're still the same height, they've made the newer bottles released in 2022 much slimmer than before and
What?
easier to handle.
Why
Like
would they
that
do
even
that?
matters. This means that
That's
the
where I
company has
still
gotten away
see
with
the
giving
fat
us
ones
28
still.
ounces instead of the original 32. Manufactured by PepsiCo, the price of Gatorade's 28-ounce bottles are $1.72 in Walmart as I'm making this video, when for 32 ounces they were on sale for $1.66. By distracting customers with the new shape of the bottle, they tricked us into paying a higher price for less. As of September 2023, PepsiCo had dragged in a ginormous $91.5 billion in revenue, up 5.88% from 2022. So couldn't we at least keep Gatorade at the same price as before? Please? Sweet, sweet Subway. If you're like me, you see the sandwich chain Subway as a healthier option to other greasier fast foods. I mean, their slogan is Eat Fresh. Their color scheme uses a healthy-looking green color, and they offer more veggies and lean meat options than a lot of other joints. But despite appearing to offer the healthy choice, it really doesn't. Subway used to mix a chemical called azodicarbonamide into their bread, which doesn't sound like something that belongs in food at all. This harmful chemical is normally used to increase the elasticity of rubber shoe soles, synthetic leather, and yoga mats. Yep, even
What?
eating yoga mat sandwiches. Ugh. Although the FDA approves the use of very low quantities of it for getting baked goods to rise, inhaling too much of it can induce asthma. So why was it in Subway's bread in the first place? Well, it was perfect for increasing the strength, texture, and volume of the bread they used, giving them their signature loaves. After being discovered in 2014 by a food blogger, a petition was launched against its use. Subway responded by saying they'd always had plans to remove it, but I don't think I believe that, considering that it was only in response to the petition that they completely phased it out of their products in April 2014. But that's not all. As of 2020, Subway bread is now no longer legally considered bread, but is instead confectionery. Yeah, it's cake. Normally, the sugar content should not exceed 2% of a bread's total weight. But to make up for all the chemicals they've had to remove in recent years, Subway has increased their bread's sugar content to a staggering 10%. This extra sugar is not only the reason it's closer to cake than bread, but also why it smells so different to others. Damn, I guess I'll just go to a burger joint then next time. Twinkielicious. To me, nothing tastes as nostalgic as a Twinkie. It was the perfect sweet treat, a cream-flavored filling, and a sponge as soft as a pillow. At least, they used to be. When they were first invented by James Dewar in 1930, the filling was actually banana-flavored. That is, until bananas were too difficult to get a hold of due to rationing in World War II. So they switched to a basic cream flavoring instead. I'm so glad they did, even if this cream is actually just sugar and oil. After many years of success, the manufacturer Hostess went bankrupt when sales dramatically fell during the 90s. By 2004, Hostess were $700 million in.
I remember there used to be like a similar thing to Twinkies, but it was like had this like black outlining and not the yellow one.
Dead. And as a result, Twinkies were discontinued in 2012. Thankfully, investment firms Apollo Global Management and Metropolis & Co. decided to buy the company out of its money troubles, and Twinkie hysteria soon rose again. After a whole year without them on the shelves, people just couldn't wait to get their hands on all that sugary goodness. But they soon noticed a huge difference between the Twinkies of old and these new imitations. The cakes were smaller and drier, and the filling didn't taste right. Hostess eventually admitted to changing them to extend their shelf life from 14 to 45 days. A cheap trick and a sneaky one, too. Despite the drop in quality, Hostess started making $400 million a year by 2015 and is now worth over $4 billion. A happily ever after? It would have been if they had just left the recipe alone. Unpromising Pringles. Have you ever got your hand stuck inside a Pringles can before? I swear it gets harder and harder to pull it out every year. There may be a reason for that, and not because I'm getting bigger, but because Pringles aren't immune to shrinkflation. What used to be a standard can size of 5.2 ounces has noticeably shrunk to an insulting 4.7 ounces, and they were both sold for the same price tag of $5 in Australia. The company said that the cans and chip sizes were cut down in 2016 to fit in with a new manufacturing facility in Malaysia. This production center apparently has different equipment to the original U.S. factory, which is Pringles' extremely bad excuse for decreasing the size of their cans. The new can size is so much smaller you can actually fit it inside the old can. And it's not just the packaging that's shrunk, but the chips themselves. This guy's 1.8-ounce can of sour cream and onion shows just how pitiful the size of them has become. They should be modeled on the hyperbolic paraboloid. Yes, that's actually a shape. This satisfying curve reduces the risk of the chips breaking during production, but here it just looks like a regular potato chip. And as only 40% of the chips are actually potato flour, this shrinkflation is even worse than you could imagine. This travesty isn't just happening down under, though. In the U.S., different flavors can be different sizes. This cheddar cheese can is 5.5 ounces, while the original can is 5.2. But they're both $2.29. Can we go back in time to when value for money was a thing, please? Nutella. Whether you like your Nutella on toast, on a cake, or straight off the spoon, the hazelnut cocoa spread has been a kitchen staple for chocolate lovers since it first hit the shelves back in 1964. But for every chocoholic out there came some devastating disappointment in 2017. Nutella changed the recipe under everyone's noses by adding more sugar and skimmed milk at the expense of the cocoa. The new recipe is a clear downgrade in quality, with a rise in powdered milk from 7.5% to 8.7% and a sugar content that's risen from 55.9 to 56.3%. These factors also changed the color from dark to light brown. It was first noticed by the Hamburg Consumer Protection Center, which released these findings on their Facebook page. Customers were outraged to find out that the product wasn't the same, but Nutella claimed it tasted identical, only citing the switch as a minor fine-tuning to the recipe. If you're still a fan, I'm afraid there's more bad news. In 2021, Nutella shrank the size of their jars from 14 ounces to 12 ounces. Is nothing sacred in this world? Well, in 2018, it was estimated that 15 to 20% of all packaged food products had been downsized since 2013. Anyone else just feel their soul leave their body? Huh. New Coke, new disaster. Coca-Cola is one of the most successful beverage companies in the world, and they never do anything to compromise that. Would they? Well, in 1985, they put their reputation on the line with a recipe change. When New Coke hit the shelves, they were hoping consumers would love the new taste. Instead, they filed over 40,000 angry complaints, forcing them to bring back Classic Coke. Why did they do this? Well, some people believe that the new version was used to cover up the company's switch from natural sugarcane to artificial fructose syrup, which is much cheaper. Another red flag was the taste itself. They had made it sweeter than before. In tests, it went down a treat, but in real life, customers realized they missed the taste of regular Coca-Cola. The disappointment and the sales were so bad it only took 3 months before New Coke had to be pulled from the shelves and Classic Coke took its rightful place once again. Unsurprisingly, sales for this original Coke soared, increasing more than twice the rate of rival Pepsi. In 2019, New Coke made its reappearance on the market with 50,000 units available to buy. Unbelievably, the demand was so great that the orders crashed the website, and reviews for the taste were much more positive. Some people even admitted to preferring the taste to Classic Coke. Looks like the customer isn't always right. Crafty. Of all the comfort meals, mac and cheese is my all-time favorite. I even had a bowl for lunch today. And even more comforting is Kraft's mac and cheese. There's just something about the distinctive cheesiness in their boxed-up recipe that can't be replicated anywhere else, am I right? This family favorite has stayed constant through the years, so there's no reason it would need to change. But it did, and we had no idea about it. In 2016, the company removed artificial preservatives, flavors, and dyes such as yellow 5 and 6. These artificial dyes are what kept the sauce looking Chernobyl-level neon. Instead, they opted to use natural spices like paprika and turmeric. Kraft did this after learning parents were starting to prioritize their children's nutrition, but swapping artificial dyes for natural ones doesn't mean the mac is any healthier. Natural flavors come from proteins and plants, sure, but both are still heavily processed in labs. It seems like it didn't really make much a difference anyway, since customers didn't notice the switcheroo at all. More than 50 million boxes were sold when the change was first made, showing no deviation from regular sales patterns. So the change had no effect. Now, I couldn't tell the difference between the old and new Kraft mac and cheese if my life depended on it, but could you? Let me know down in the comments below. Coffee cuts. When I wake up in the morning, I need coffee. Without it, my videos would have significantly fewer dad jokes and a lot more, let's say, threatening vibe. Coffee just helps me and many others like me cope. Which is exactly why customers were so frustrated when Nescafé changed one of the coffee products back in 2015. The company released an improved version of their sachet range called Cafe Menu with packet lattes and cappuccinos that were supposedly creamier and frothier with a fuller taste. Does anyone really know what that means? Well, it was Nescafé's defense when customers started blowing up their social media, claiming that the coffee tasted disgusting, with some even vowing to boycott the brand and comparing it to dishwater. These fans were so upset, in fact, Nescafé started deleting comments and blocking users from posting at them, which is a cardinal internet sin. So, what alterations were made to make these customers so angry? Nescafe admitted to tampering with the texture as well as the flavor of the coffee formula. Like Nutella, the new products seem to have a greater concentration of milk powder at 17% with only 7% actual coffee. So improved really meant cheaper to produce. Yeah, I was going to put a bad dad joke here, but I'm just too tired and disappointed. Cookie crisis. Not only is Oreo America's favorite cookie, but it's mine too. The company has been around since 1912, and we've been twisting, licking, and dunking this sweet sandwich cookie ever since. But in 1997, a significant change was made to the recipe without consumers knowing. They removed the pig lard. Okay, I can already hear people gagging at the idea of a cookie containing animal fat in this day and age, but it gave the Oreos of that time their flavor. Oreo's owners Nabisco were hoping to get into the lucrative kosher food market, and with pigs not being a kosher animal, Oreos had to remove the lard and spend more than $150,000, some $300,000 today, over 3.5 years to thoroughly cleanse its baking ovens of the ingredients. They replaced the lard with trans fats, which eventually made the cookies both kosher and vegan, so just about everyone could enjoy them. But there have since been cases of low quality and shrinkflation afoot. In 2016, there were many reports of the cream filling and chocolate cookie not tasting the same. While Oreos are still made in the U.S., Nabisco started moving some production facilities to Mexico. Incredibly, customers claim to be able to taste the difference between American and Mexican-produced cookies. But the changes don't stop there. Many fans have noticed a lack of cream in their Oreos, contrary to the packaging. I mean, these fillings are nowhere near the edges, nor are they very thick. The ratio should be 71% cookie to 29% cream, with 0.17 ounces of the filling in each one. But that doesn't feel right. I mean, compare them to a photo from 1986 and you'll clearly spot the difference. Check out the net weight, too. That's 16 glorious ounces of Oreos compared to a measly 13.29 ounces today. Well, I'll still be dunking Oreos. Dunking on them, that is. McDisappearing. McDonald's famous Golden Arches have seen many, many visits since the fast food chain's conception back in 1955. A lot of them from me. And unsurprisingly, its menu has adapted and changed over the years. But some of them haven't gone down as well as others. Recently, the U.S. changed not only the appearance but the recipe of its famous apple pie. The mouth-watering deep-fried pastry, which was hotter than the sun when you bit into it, delighted customers since 1968, but in 2018, McDonald's decided to switch to a baked version instead. Granted, it looks more like the all-American apple pie, but it now contains less sugar and fewer ingredients overall, upsetting many fans. Please, let me just be unhealthy in peace. Further controversies surrounded their famous burgers, with many accusing McDonald's of shrinking them down. I mean, to me, they definitely look like they always have since they started out more than 50 years ago, but TV adverts 20 years apart show how the classic Big Mac now looks way smaller. After denying the accusations for years, McDonald's eventually confirmed that their burger buns had shrunk. They went from 4.5 inches to a 4-inch bun, which is probably why so much stuff slides out the sides. I guess that means these guys must just have really massive hands to make the sandwiches look so small, right? Right? Fanta flavor. There's nothing like a can of cold orange Fanta on a hot day. If you're a fan of the citrus taste like I am, you wouldn't want anything about it to change. Anything at... oh, crap. Too late. See, Fanta started all the way back in Germany, 1940. Created by Coca-Cola Deutschland, Fanta was made from sugar beet, whey, and apple pomace leftovers, a perfect way to prevent waste at the height of an ongoing war. As you can see, this left the classic drink with a pale yellow appearance. In 1955, the Fanta we all know and love today was born, launched in Italy with a completely new recipe. This is where oranges were introduced, used to change both the flavor and color. Modern Fanta in the U.S. is made from orange and citrus fruit juice as well as high fructose corn syrup. But in 2017, Fanta changed the recipe again in the UK. They reduced their sugar content by 33% and substituted this with artificial sweeteners. Sugar was lowered to just 0.16 ounces per 3.3 fluid ounces, where previously it had 0.24 ounces. This move was spurred on by the UK's announced tax on sugar, which came into effect in 2018. This created a levy fee which would apply to drinks with a total 0.17 ounce of sugar per 3.3 fluid ounces. The company knew what they had to do, and at the expense of its great sugary taste for their UK customers, they chose to keep their taxes as low as possible. Please, a moment of silence for our British brothers and sisters. Unlucky Charms. Sweet treats for breakfast are definitely a guilty pleasure. Donuts, Pop-Tarts, but Lucky Charms may be the sweetest and guiltiest of them all. That's why we love them. The colorful marshmallow bits have always been the best part, too. But they've gone through their fair share of changes. Originally, the cereal was put to market in 1964 and included pink hearts, yellow moons, orange stars, and green clovers. After 1975, however, producer General Mills changed up the charms and has continued to do so. Whether you've noticed or not is the key. I'm willing to bet many people were as oblivious to it as I was. Blue diamonds were added in 75, purple horseshoes in 83, red balloons in 89, rainbows in 92, and so on. General Mills phased different marshmallows in and out of their cereal like a baseball team switches out their batters. But this was more than just a fun bonus. It helped sales grow and appealed to children who recognized the updated charms coming in and out of play. But most crucially, in 2021, the company shrunk family-sized packs down from 19.3 ounces to 18.1
If you have a size,
ounce.
you cannot shrink it down.
Inflation strikes again. This wasn't the only cereal in the General Mills family to get the shrinking treatment, though. They elongated boxes of Cocoa Puffs to make you think you're getting more than usual in the taller boxes, but in reality, they also reduced them from 19 to 18 ounces. The same fate befell my personal favorite, the almighty Cinnamon Toast Crunch. Why, General Mills? Why? Domino's drama. If there's one thing you can rely on, it's pizza. Domino's is my go-to when I need a great-tasting pie any day of the week. To me, it's tasted exactly the same over the years, but I was shocked to learn that it doesn't actually taste how it used to. I certainly didn't notice, but apparently in 2008, Domino's transformed their pizza recipe for the better after consumers consistently complained about the lack of quality. Grievances ranged from the tomato sauce likened to ketchup to the dough crust possessing the texture of cardboard. Astonishingly, the company actually listened. Domino's spent 18 months trialing every ingredient together and testing new pizza combinations to improve their menu. After they had found the perfect formula, popularity grew, and this time the praise wasn't just reserved for their quick delivery service. Their pizzas were a hit. Their store sales rose by 10%, and now they're the largest pizza chain in the world, delivering over 1 million a day. Founded in 1960 in a small store in Michigan, Domino's now takes a huge $17 billion slice out of the pizza industry. And it's all thanks to us, the complaining consumer. Maybe other companies could learn a thing or two from them. Taco Bell taste. If you're going to eat at Taco Bell, you have to get their nachos. And with every nacho, you need their cheese sauce to dip them in. But if you thought it looked different to how you remember it, I promise you you're not going crazy. Taco Bell removed one key ingredient from their cheese sauce in 2015 to make it look different than before. Like Kraft, they also switched out artificial dyes like Yellow 6 and replaced them with natural flavorings. This is why the melted cheese doesn't have the signature shade of bright orange anymore. Some believe the swap permanently changed the taste of the sauce, which is the worst thing a food company can do. This changeover went further than the nacho cheese, however. A staggering 95% of the Taco Bell food menu was affected, with the avocado ranch dressing and red tortilla chips also losing their vibrant colorings. Again, it sounds like the company thought it would be healthier to use natural dyes than artificial ones, without realizing how much it could affect their products. Did you notice the difference? Let me know down below. Breyer's bad choices. I scream, you scream, we all scream for frozen dairy dessert? Hang on, that ain't right. Breyer's ice cream, founded all the way back in 1866 in Pennsylvania, have been sneakily changing their recipes since 2006 to include more ingredients. So much so that it can no longer be legally classed as ice cream. Ice cream has at least 10% dairy fat, but Breyers went for lower fat options, and now it contains up to 40 ingredients.
Wait, what?
These include corn syrup, carrageenan, a red seaweed used to thicken food, and diglycerides, an emulsifier. Breyers claims this enhances the flavor, but many wished for the old recipe to come back. But what's worse is that the company claimed this change was all thanks to the customers. Apparently, we all wanted a smoother texture, which was what drove them to make the changes. In reality, it's more likely this was a cost-cutting move stemming from Unilever buying Breyers up, a company famous for reformulating recipes with food additives. They already made bad choices by shrinking their tub sizes in 2008. What other horrors could they have in store for us ice cream lovers? A half-gallon tub shrinks down to 56 ounces, then 48 ounces, and they expect us to go along with it? Yeah, I guess we did. I still love Breyers ice cream, even though it's not technically ice cream. Soup swaps. When I'm ill, it's straight to chicken noodle soup to help me feel better. And if you're going to have chicken noodle soup, it's gotta be Campbell's. Their chicken noodle is just perfect when you're fighting off a cold. But the company decided to take our health concerns even further by removing ingredients from their soup. These included flavorings such as MSG, a food additive used to enhance flavor, soybean oil, and cornstarch. With more customers aware of what they're consuming, these were changed to fall in line with the consumer's health concerns. But they also removed onions and celery? Those are healthy vegetables. I thought that's what Campbell's wanted to keep. Well, there may be another reason for the switch. Global soup sales had fallen consistently since 2012, including a 5% decrease for Campbell's, which may have prompted them to cut back on funding all the ingredients. All in all, Campbell's actually cut down their 30-ingredient recipe to just 20 in 2015. Well, there's tweaking a recipe and there's just completely remaking it. Chew trouble. Gum is great. When you accidentally leave your house without brushing your teeth, it's your on-demand toothpaste. When you have a date, it keeps your breath minty fresh. But sadly, shrinkflation has affected this too. Is nothing safe? Increasingly, companies have started to tack on an easy-to-grip tab on their packets, robbing you of one or two gum pieces. Yeah, because I never knew how to hold on to my packet of Airwaves before. Thanks, guys. The grip tab is one of the most blatant cases of shrinkflation I've ever seen. And when they're not putting pointless grips on your packets, they're physically shrinking them down instead, from 18 sticks to 14. Who hurt you, Trident? And this atrocity from Airwaves, they're not even trying to hide it anymore. Ultimately, with less pieces to chew, the quicker you have to buy a new pack. Man, I'm going to have to chew on this. Downsizing dessert. If you thought Breyers frozen dairy dessert was bad, what I'm about to reveal to you will shock you to your core. Food companies have come up with some very clever ways of cheating you out of your ice cream, from shrinking them down to deliberately giving you less. This Tillamook tub is already making me angry, with their 1.75 quart carton cut down to 1.5. That's a 17% decrease in ice cream for the exact same price. But wait, there's more. This dude's ice cream has a whole empty shell around it instead of being filled to the top. And Klondike bars, they used to be so big and chunky, now they look as flat as an old tire. These chocolate-covered ice cream bars were once advertised as being too big for a stick, but now it looks like they might need one or they'll fall apart. I turn to ice cream when something makes me sad, but what am I meant to turn to when the ice cream is the one making me sad? Disappointing Doritos. As a snack, or let's be honest, sometimes as a whole meal, Doritos chips and dip is the answer. I think I must have tried every combination of chip flavor and dip out there. But when I last went to the store to get a bag, I suddenly noticed the difference in size. A bag that used to weigh 9.75 ounces is now 9.25 ounces, with an average of 5 less chips in every pack, according to Frito-Lay. These changes were first announced in 2022, and customers have since found little change in price. Flaming Hot Cool Ranch chips at 9.25 ounces were being sold for $5.59, the same price as Flamin' Hot Nacho Cheese at 9.75 ounces. Another way they cheat you is by advertising a bigger bag, but they just give you the same amount of product in that bigger bag as there is in a regular one. 17 ounces in each, but approximately 30 cents more for the sharing version. What's next? 15 chips left out? A large bag sold for over $7? Looks like the only chip I'll be getting is the one on my shoulder. Reese's and Pieces. Ah, peanut butter and chocolate. The greatest combination of flavors on earth. And who does it better than Reese's? Nobody. Founded in 1928, they've quickly become one of the best-selling candy brands in the U.S. and receive over $2 billion in sales each year. But the company has slowly been reducing the sizes of their products, and now we're finally starting to notice. The standard peanut butter cup was originally 0.9 ounces, but in 1991 they were reduced to 0.8 ounces. It didn't last too long before the cup sizes were reduced again in 2001 to 0.75 ounces. As a result, the classic 2-pack in 1980 was 1.6 ounces, but in 2022, they were 1.5 ounces instead, marking a 7% decrease. But it's not just the cups. The Reese's Christmas cane is definitely a few pieces short. The company has used the label to sneakily disguise the gaps inside the tube. One Redditor also spotted a difference in their Reese's Pieces bought only weeks apart in February 2023. The right packet is 6 ounces, but the left has been downsized to 5.3. I wonder, by the time it's 2050, will they have shrunk down even further? Maybe the regular cups will become the snack sizes, and the snack sizes become the minis, and the minis will just disappear. It's a modern horror story in the making. Did you ever realize how much has changed right under our noses?
Oh, thank you. Be amazed. And you remember to subscribe to him, and I hope you have a great day. And fire!